Hello and welcome to Off the Cuff. And today I have a very special and very talented guest here with me. Farah, welcome to Off the Cuff.
Thank you so much. It's wonderful to be here.
Absolutely wonderful to see you after a while.
Yes,
It's and a little bit about her. Farah Yasmeen Shaikh is an international Kathak dance artist, choreographer, educator, and founder and artistic director of Noorani Dance, a non-profit organization with a performing dance company and a dance school. She has performed and promoted Kathak for over 30 years now, if I'm not wrong.
Just shy, technically. But yes,
Yeah.
I am hitting that
Almost,
mark.
yes. And Farah, what's going on? It's been a while.
Yes.
You dabble into so many things. A little bit about yourself and what's going on.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, as you mentioned, sort of the different facets that I
Yes.
get to explore as a Kathak artist.
Mm-hmm.
Here in the Bay Area, I think the most vibrant part of that is our school, ongoing classes. We teach
Right.
classes in Menlo Park.
Yes.
But I would say at present, the most exciting thing is we are going to be presenting our work that we premiered in 2024 called Sabit Qadam, loosely translated as Perseverance. And we were invited by a festival, San Francisco's first South Asian choreography festival. And that name of that festival is When Eyes Speak. And it's here. And I should say, first, yes, South Asian choreographer. So hence, we use our eyes so much. So the name is quite intentional.
Yeah, I love it. I love
Yes.
it. Yeah. Looking forward to that.
Thank
you. Like you said, it's you'll be presenting Sabit Qadam, which means perseverance and determination, and something that makes you keep going on. And tell me a little bit more about this festival and about Sabit Qadam. I heard when we talked last, you told me that you will be presenting poetry and ghazal and Kathak all together. So a little bit about that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, this is a very personal project for me. And as I hear myself say that, I think all of our projects do become very personal.
Yes.
But this one is something that's a bit of an introspection and a reflection on really the influences that I've had in my life that I think I've become much more acutely aware of, I'd say, in the past decade.
Right.
A little bit about my personal history. My parents were born just pre-partition in 1946. Both of their families, they were born in Bombay, and both of their families happened to move to Karachi.
Right.
So they grew up there. We still had some family in India, quite a bit, much more that moved to Pakistan. And, growing up there, hearing them, then they migrated to the States in 1971.
Okay.
So I was born here. But, trips home, meaning to visit my Nani Ma, whomever else, you get a little bit of a window into the art and the culture. But it was even in my home here in the States. Just the music, especially that my father would play. You become somewhat detached from the culture, so you hold on to the seeds that were planted.
Right.
For him, that was the music. That was playing records of the great Mehdi Hassan Sahib, the amazing and definitely his favorite vocalist, Iqbal Banu Sahiba. One of our trips back to Pakistan, we even got to meet Iqbal Banu Sahiba at a house concert.
Nice.
Every time Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan Sahib was in the Bay Area, we were there at the concert.
Yeah.
Abidaji, these just became quite literally household names. Fast forward, when I start Kathak, this is how, the music was my point of entry to appreciating our art.
Yes.
Then the dance became a complement to that. And then over the past 10 years, as I established a deeper direct connection to Pakistan, to art and artists there, I really began to understand it through the lens of history. And so when we talk about perseverance, it is sort of this marriage of paying tribute to these artists that were influencing me before I knew they were, and now better understanding the very adverse conditions in many ways, whether political, religious, you name it, that they had to endure. And I didn't even mention the dance artists, who are still very much mentors, friends of mine. The great Nahid Siddiqui ji, Shima Kermani, who I've had the honor of performing on stage with. talk about perseverance. They personify it. So this show is meant to honor their work in various ways through our medium of Kathak, poetry, music, and an overall, hopefully, dynamic presentation.
Yeah, I think it will be such a magical, evening for 2 days. I think it's been
Yes,
happening.
over 2 days, October 11th and 12th, we have 3 shows.
Okay.
Saturday the 11th, we have a 4 p.m. and a 7 p.m., and Sunday, October 12th at 2 p.m. So
Okay.
very family friendly, a couple matinee shows in there. And so
Absolutely. You were talking about, you get influenced by what your father was listening to. And very similar, with me also. I grew up in India, in a small town. And that time we didn't have so much, there was no internet, exactly TV, barely.
no Spotify.
No Spotify, no podcast. So what we did was get together and just, listen to music on radio or transistor, if somebody knows what a transistor was.
Right.
Yeah, and we got those, LPs and all later on. And I think that kind of music and that kind of environment stays with you. It becomes a part of your personality. And even now, if, I listen to a Jagjit Singh, I can't stop myself from listening to a Mehndi Hassan or, Ghulam Ali. You cannot. That's why what you're doing is so lovely. And you cannot limit art or artists. So what Farah is doing is so amazing. And what do you think about this? Because you have been an artist for around 30 years now. About art not having any boundaries and art being limitless wherever you are, wherever you live. It doesn't matter. All you need to do is immerse yourself and enjoy. So a little bit about that.
I could not agree with that sentiment more. You mentioned Jagjit Singh Ji, right? And just even taking that, he and his artistry as an example. So one of my favorite pieces that he sung was Kal Chaudhry Ki Raat Thi.
Yes.
Right? And so when I started again doing work in Pakistan and I was thinking about, what do I want to perform? What will I work with the Pakistani musicians on? And I said, I want to create something on this piece because I just loved his version of it. Well, as I did more research, I came to find out that it was actually poetry written by an Urdu Pakistani poet, Ibn Shah.
Ibn.
Right? And so to me, and there are limitless numbers of examples of this, right? Where whomever we talk about borders and boundaries and the idea being that Jagjit Ji, of course, post-partition was living in India.
Yeah.
Here we have an Urdu Pakistani poet writing a song that now this Indian artist is, so well known for singing beautifully.
Yeah.
So we share so much. And, the great Ustad Ali Akbar Khan Sahab used to say, my Guruji would quote him, so forgive me if it's not verbatim, but the way I remember it to be is, the music of India, in this case Hindustani classical, let's say, is universal music. It just happens to be developed in the subcontinent of South Asia.
Yeah.
And so, yes, our art represents our culture and the nuances and, and it is beautiful and should be named and honored and respected. But it is also how we all learn so much about each other and celebrate one another. Yeah. And I just also, you asked me about the festival when I speak. So this is their 5th presentation of this festival.
Okay.
They have presented again a number of choreographers over the years. Yeah. Most recently in 2023, they presented the work of Jyoti Singh, who is one of the founders and artistic directors of Dunia Dance and Drum.
Okay.
And she did a very personal story looking at her sort of Punjabi Sikh history and the revolutionary sort of movement. And so, that was the theme a couple years ago, to look at her work. This year, when they invited me and they had seen this project, they being Preeti Ramaprasad and Shruti Abhishek, the co-curators of this festival, the thing that spoke to them so deeply in the project when they saw it were notions of nostalgia. And your own example of listening to music, the way, it takes you back to the environment. And it's also worth pointing out, nostalgia tends to, more often than not, be categorized as exclusively almost positive memories. But
Very
nostalgia
true.
can also be trauma. It can also be, environments that might trigger something that is not favorable in our memory, but it's still all deeply embedded in us. So this show and this year's theme of their festival is very much exploring that as well.
Yeah, and your, Sabit Kadam is aligning to what they want to represent. And also one more thing, besides obviously poetry, ghazal, music and Kathak, there'll be a workshop on kalamkari.
Yes.
Which is, it's a dying art.
Exactly.
And, is from 3,000 years.
I'm not going to quote
this
because
would
I
be wrong.
hate to miss. Yes.
Yeah. But what I read was mostly prevalent in Andhra Pradesh now, and obviously what I also saw was, and I have some kalamkari saris, and we all do. It also has. Art from the Mughal times, because Mughals promoted it a lot, and also art from the Hindu epics, Mahabharata and Ramayana. So, what we see is we have a shared history of such beauty, in art and textiles and music. And yes, we also share history of pain also and trauma also. But to move forward, I think we need to accept it in totality.
Yes.
That's what I feel.
We have to look at the history. We have to learn from the mistakes. Clearly, we are witnessing in real time mistakes being made over and over again when there are plenty of examples of why it does not work. And I do want to name the artist, the Kalamkari artist.
Yes,
Nikita Shah. She is somebody that Preeti and Shruti invited to join. She resides in New York, and she is giving a workshop as part of the festival on the Saturday morning, October 11th. I believe it's at 11 a.m. at a location in Oakland. So you do need to sign up for that separately. Tickets to the show are separate. And what I'm so excited is that Nikita and I are also exploring some crossover. So there are elements, I won't give too much away, but there are elements of her work that are actually getting woven into Sabit Kadam. And we have a really beautiful alignment of the way we approach our art is honoring them for the traditions that they are, and much of what you already spoke about, and yet also not being shy about what is calling us and using our art as a medium to express that. So what she's going to be doing with some of her work that she's creating anew to be a part of Sabit Kadam is new content, if you will, new work, new pieces that is reflective of some of the themes that we're actually exploring.
Wonderful. Now, people know what's going on. So where can they go for the tickets and the venue and everything?
Absolutely. So again, Nikita's workshop is in Oakland. Sabit Kadam Perseverance. Again, all of this is happening the weekend of October 11th, 12th. In that performance, my performance is in San Francisco. And again, it's not only me dancing, it is Noorani Dance Company. We have 10 dancers that I have the joy of working with, training, choreographing on, learning so much from myself. And that is at Joe Good Annex in San Francisco, which is sort of right on the cusp of the Mission District and Potrero. And to buy tickets for either or both of these components, the Oakland workshop or the performances in San Francisco, best to either go to the Instagram for When Eyes, and that's eyes plural, When Eyes Speak. Or, and I believe their Instagram is When Eyes Speak SF for San Francisco. They also have a Facebook page. You can certainly go to our organization, NooraniDance.com. You can come to my direct Instagram, Farah Yasmeen Shaikh. We are all making sure the information is accessible everywhere.
Perfect. So a lot of places for you to go to and buy tickets. I think this will be one of a kind, and event, I'll say. And you talked about you'll be having some, other artists with you, your students who are much younger, that.
Well, actually, sorry to interrupt. These, you're right, because once upon a time, I came and spoke with you, and at that time, yes, our company was younger. Now, this is an adult company.
Oh, okay.
Funny enough, though, some of the dancers from that time finished college, came back, and are now part of the company.
Okay.
So, yes, some of them are my students who I train, and some of them have received Kathak training over years, even from others. And so this is what we refer to as our pre-professional professional performance ensemble. So different than our students. It is much more elevated in the presentation. This is a professional production. And so, yes.
Yeah, good. You corrected me. So they're all, experts in what they're doing. Like she's saying, they're professionals now, and I might be recognizing a few faces there because
sure.
But Farah, we know about about these artists, be it Mehndi Hassan or Farida Khanum or Iqbal Bano, and. So, how are these girls who've not been exposed to this kind of music, taking this, and anything about the preparation and preparing them?
Thank you. I love that question, because I think whenever a choreographer sets work on anybody, again, it's so deeply personal to you, but how do you create that? How do you hope to create that sense of empathy and ownership even on those that are actually executing? So we do have a lot of conversations about this. Some of the dancers, of course, were even in the premiere. And so even if maybe at the time of creation and learning choreography, they didn't get a chance to really embedded into their internal self, having gone through the show, hearing from the audience, having dialogue, we do a Q&A. So it's an ongoing, evolving learning process for all of us, even me as a choreographer. I put something out there, but sometimes it's the response that actually makes me think about it more. So again, what we always try to do as dancers is talk about the work. And, we do a piece based on Fez Ahmed Fezit. We do two of his pieces of poetry. One is the quite known Hamde Kinge. And it is, it has still to present day such a feeling of, a call to action, of resistance, of resilience. Yes, definitely in Pakistan, but I think so many people have come to know this work that they really respond to the intention of it. And the story of the great Iqbal Banu Sahiba singing it at the time when Zia al-Haq was in power, military dictator, women, let alone art in general, was suppressed, but women were not supposed to be out in public wearing saris, performing.
70s.
She defied intentionally all of that. So we closed the show with that. But one of our opening pieces is Fez Sab's work on partition, Subh Azadi. And, he is just such a profound thinker. And Subh Azadi, the dawn of freedom. And the whole piece is about questioning. And again, I find the relevance in present day. Is this the freedom we fought for? Is this the independence we were seeking? And, when he goes on to, and it's not about pointing the finger or taking sides. It's about saying, my goodness, we could have done so much better. And even though so many mistakes have been made, we still can.
Absolutely.
We can still do so much better. You mentioned Mehdi Sahib, and I purposely, the piece that I share of his through dance is Kesaria Balam. Because to me, that's not only, and I'm not taking these artists' music and hearing it in their voice. We have been inspired by the work. We've rearranged it, done original recordings, very much, connected to their style. And but then we make it a little bit more Kathak-esque, if you will. But that piece, Kesaria Balam, to me is also, it just personifies this idea of one's homeland. And again, the nostalgia and the beauty and the connection you feel to it. And yet, one has to think a little deeper. if it's taken from you and you can never go back, how do you live with those memories and keep them again in such a positive place, even though you may never experience quite literally that connection again? And, you know, I think about the people of Palestine when we do that show, when we do that piece. And so, you know, Kathak is our medium to, again, pay tribute to these artists, to amplify these messages that I have drawn out of their work, that, again, I find to be so relevant even today.
Well, it is so well said. I don't think I can add anything else to that, you know. But what I'm learning from you is that, you know, and, you know, with the environment around, obviously there's politics and power politics that come into play and mess things up, and many other factors. But I feel these days artists and historians need to be very responsible when they are projecting something on stage or in their books or in podcasts, because history is being twisted and narratives are being thrown in our faces, which are, you know, very detrimental to our own thinking. So what I'll say is, Farah, keep going. Best wishes for everything you're doing. You know, you're an exceptional artist. I've seen your work, and I know this won't be an exception. So, folks, come to Sabit Kadam when I speak. SF is the Instagram handle.
Correct.
Or you can go to NooraniDanceCompany.org or
NooraniDance.com.
Okay, NooraniDance.com, and get your tickets October 11th and 12th. And just support this venture, I'll say. So what I can say is, you know, I just actually heard these lines in the morning when I was coming, कि मैं खुद अपनी तलाश में हूँ, मैं खुद अपनी तलाश में हूँ, मेरा कोई रहनुमा नहीं, वो क्या दिखाएंगे राह मुझको, जिन्हें खुद अपना पता नहीं. So Farah is finding her own way. We both are in ways finding our own way. You know, we come from two different countries with shared history. We both believe in compassion, love, and humanity, you know, that prevails in our countries. We both promote it through arts and media. And I believe art is a conduit for positive change, and Farah is doing that. It was such a pleasure talking to you, Farah, and take care and be well.
Thank you so much for having me. As always, it's been a pleasure.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.